Good evening, everyone. I want to call our school board meeting to order. The first item on our agenda is we need to amend the agenda, and I need a motion to add items on the speech credit for the high school, which would be 7B, and also 7C, which is a fundraiser for was it a dance?
Yes.
The dance, right, Mr. Murray?
Yes.
Okay. These are going to be added to the consent agenda, so could we have a motion, please?
I make a motion for the approval to amend the agenda to add 7B, speech at DHS, and 7C, fundraisers.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
The question is, the consent agenda is 6, isn't it?
It's 7. Oh, it's 6 on there and 7 on here.
Okay, I thought it was 7 on mine.
7B and 7C. It was originally 6, but they're amending the agenda, which will make that become item 7.
Oh.
So,
It would be under the consent agenda, item 6,
Okay.
would be 6C and D.
Yeah, on the printed one, the consent.
I may not have the,
Yeah.
No, you have the right one. It's just different on our computer.
Yeah, it's updated
on the computer. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so can we have a repeat on the motion, please?
I make a motion to amend the agenda to add to the consent agenda, 7B, speech at DHS, and 7C, fundraisers.
Second motion.
Okay, on that, last week we discussed the speech credit for the high school and had approved it, and it just got left off the consent agenda, so we added it. And then the other, under fundraisers, it's the Valentine dance at Bate Middle School, and honestly, if it didn't get on today's, the dance would have to be pushed to a later date. So that's the reason why we're amending the agenda. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now we need a motion to approve the amended meeting agenda.
Make a motion of the approval of the amended meeting agenda.
We have a second. Thanks, Mr. Snow. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed? Motion carries. All right, now we have board member comments. Mr. Smalley?
I've got 3 things, if you could bear with me. I received a request from Steve Meadows, who's retired, to organize and display awards won by the Danville students in a public area at Danville High School. He said, I will send the total email to the board. Well, I will send his total email to the board and superintendent and the high school principal. I'm requesting placing this item on the agenda of our next workshop to discuss. And you're probably interested, why didn't they send it to the superintendent? He sent it to me because my son was on these teams. One of my sons was involved in winning some of the state champion awards that are currently being played in various closets around the school. And these are forensics team state championships that probably need to be honored better than that. So that's number 1. Number 2, last month I talked to Teresa Osborne and I said, I'd like to request that the financial officer and superintendent put some clarifying status statements on the conclusion of the bills paid each month regarding the yearly budget. As you all saw, she did an excellent job, a super job. If you look at our budget, it's in on minutes there. We've got financial report from 2019 December, financial statements and payments of invoices all explained. We really appreciate your work. Let's give her a round of applause. Good job. And the last thing is, sometimes when I hear the word retreat, I think that we better just surrender and give up instead of retreat. But we brought up the retreat idea last week, and we're going to do 2 of them. And I didn't say no because I didn't want anybody to think that I didn't want to go and learn and do better. And I thought about it, and I'm going to bring up Steve's book again. It's called The Governance Core. He introduced it to the board over a year ago, and I read the whole thing. You can see all those yellow marks in there. It's probably, without a doubt, the best book to help a board member improve themselves and us to work as a team, and it's an excellent book. I would like us to consider contacting KSBA at our retreat and let one of them come and do this retreat. Or we could divide the book up amongst ourselves and each of us work on 2 chapters to teach the other part. However we want to do it.
Back to school.
Back to school. But this book is excellent. I've read it, and I think it would be excellent for our first retreat. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smiler. Bass?
I
Lori?
just want to say congratulations to our BATE academic team. They competed last weekend, or a couple weekends ago in district, and came out on top. The quick recall team were undefeated. Future problem solving team were runner-up, but in all the individual events, we had some of the top scores, and it was pretty awesome. And also BATE, and I guess I'm a little focused there, but because I have a middle schooler, so I'm hear all the news, but also the basketball team is doing really well. And the 6th and 7th grade didn't advance, but the 8th grade is playing today. And I wanted to commend those coaches. They've given so much time this year to our kids, and they've really, even my 7th grader, their team didn't move on, but he's grown so much this year, and I appreciate all the work they do. So,
All right,
congrats.
Charlie?
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, there was an article in the paper. The new Attorney General had a big article in it about child abuse. And it really struck me is that we really need to take care of our kids in school and make sure that they have a safe home. And generally what I found out when I was in Florida, the kids' safe haven was at school, not at home. And that's sad. And I just pray that we keep an eye on our kids in school and know prayerfully everything's going well at home. Because the Attorney General really gave a pretty good detailed article on that. And it's something very important and dear to my heart.
And near and dear to mine too. Thank you.
Mhm.
This is not related to the Danville schools. I lost a good friend today. His name is Gene Allen. He was the longest seated school board member in the state of Kentucky, 53 years.
Boy.
And he was first elected to the East Bernstadt School Board in 1966. He was 23 years old. Never lost an election, obviously. He said he had a couple close ones. And I asked him, Gene, how close were they? He said, well, a couple hundred votes. Of course, in East Bernstadt, that's a lot of votes. So anyways, this man was special to me in the fact that he was so honest about what it means to be a school board member. And so we were chatting one day at a conference, and I said, so Gene, you always tell me, what's it mean to be a school board member? And he said, there's 2 things. He said, first of all, you have to be willing to say yes, and along in that same sentence, and then you have to be willing to say no. And I said, okay. And I said, so what's the second item? He said, you need to think about why you're saying yes, and then you need to think about why you're saying no. And make it very clear to your folks in your school districts why either one of those may happen. But he was a great guy. I think he served 13 years and became chair. And he remained chair for the rest of those years. So quite a leader and soft-spoken and somebody that I wish everybody here would have gotten to know, because he's a leader's leader. He was. And so anyways, he's going to be greatly missed. So that's all I have. Okay. All right, now we're going to have our superintendent comments.
Thank you. I've got a few things. One, just want to remind the board that my monthly calendar is uploaded for your review. Also, since we were out due to illness on Friday, I wanted to update everyone that our attendance today district-wide was 91.7. which is much, much better than last Wednesday and Thursday. However, it's still low for the district, but it's better. We still have a good bit of kids, our parents reporting back flu-like symptoms and stomach bug. So a couple of things, I was going to mention BATE, but thank you, Ms. Finke mentioned a lot going on at BATE and a lot of awards, really great stuff there. I do want to mention some areas in the visual and performing arts where we've been really doing well. We have a Danville High School senior, Megan Manier. Her artwork that is titled To Look a Little Closer was among 73 pieces of art chosen from thousands of admissions by the National Art Education Association. Her work was selected for inclusion in the 2020 National Art Education Association juried virtual gallery. So her artwork will go on display on the NAEA website starting January 27th. So big honor. I'm really proud of Megan. Also, the Arts Commission, I'm sure some of you are aware, but I think it's worth noting that there was the Arts Commission of Danville and Bull County presented the Piano Paradox. It's an original musical. Our students on the 23rd at DHS and Sunrise Academy viewed that play. They were in attendance, so that was really nice there. For sports, we had 2 students that won a $1,000 scholarship. I'm sure most of you saw that. So we had Darian Bell and Mariah Barnett, and they won that through the All-A Classic. Speaking of the All-A Classic, I'm sure you're aware, but I think it's worth note that our girls made the semifinals in the All-A Classic and finished 3rd place in the state, as well as our cheerleaders finished 3rd place in the state in the All-A Classic. So good job for our girls, basketball players, and cheerleaders. Our wrestling team here at DHS will host the regionals February 7th and 8th, so we don't want to miss that. And then our swim team will be at regionals at UK February 6th through the 8th. So a lot going on there with our students. One other quick note, I mentioned this last month, but it's worth noting again. Mrs. Sherry Satterley was inducted into Quail, which is Kentucky Women in Educational Leadership. It's a big honor. It's by application. Very few women each year are inducted into that organization, and the reason I mention it again is the induction program was Thursday night, and I was in attendance, and it was very nice, and I was very proud of Mrs. Satterley and how she represented Danville Schools.
Okay, we have numerous, no, we're going to do our recognitions, and okay, so we're going to start students and volunteers, and Ms. Kelly? Paul?
For my volunteers, I'd like to recognize this month, Mrs. Karen Tubb. Karen has been on our site-based council since Challenger Intermediate had a site-based council. So she has put in many hours of work, and as you know, those site-based council parent reps are volunteers, and they do make big decisions for our school, and we appreciate her willingness to serve and her leadership on that. So Karen, come on up.
Oh, picture, okay.
They won't let you leave it there.
There we go.
Next up I have Genesis Gattaca. Genesis is our first student at Tolliver to receive 250 Blue points. So that means she is a 1-star admiral right now. And she is our first student, but we will recognize her in the morning. Gavin Feltenbarger, is he here today? Hi Gavin, come on up. Gavin won a national guitar contest that was sponsored by Child Bloom Company. And so not only is Gavin knocking it out inside the classroom, he is also very talented in other ways musically. So good job on your efforts. Appreciate that, Mr. Gavin. I want you to look at me.
If parents want to come up and get pictures, it's okay.
this.
Okay, hold on,
Mom's
Mom.
coming, hang on, just a
I
second.
think
Mom's
Dad's
coming.
coming.
One more time.
Come on.
Okay. There we go.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Tiffany, will you take pictures? Okay. Thank you.
Once you slide it, I'll slide out. I'll already been in too.
Okay.
Fantastic. All right, thank you all.
Congratulations.
Next up, we have Amelia Tompkins. Amelia has earned over 70 AR points. And she's a second grader. The goal for second graders at the end of the year is to earn 50 AR points. So we are halfway through and she's already well exceeded that goal. Congratulations, young lady. Very proud of you.
All right, congratulations.
And last one, Mylan Peters. Doesn't look like Mylan's here. Mylan was selected as a Diamond All-Star for football and traveled to Myrtle Beach and won a championship and was also recognized for his academic excellence there. And we certainly want to recognize him here tonight. So,
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Kelly. And now we have Mrs. Farmer from Hogsett.
We have 3 students that we are recognizing at Hogsett for their outstanding artistic achievement that had their art selected by the Danville Schools Education Foundation Friends of the Arts with a calendar. And so I think this one is Dietrich's, right? Is Dietrich Wallen? I thought I saw him come in. Okay. You find anybody? So the prompt was to ask about their favorite thing at school. Can you tell them what you drew?
I drew the library.
Got Miss Hopkins here, right, reading to you all. And so if you all haven't been in the new building, it's really phenomenal. My favorite part of this picture, please don't put this part in the newspaper, is the caution tape, because he made this when it wasn't finished. Nice detail. So, but anyway, so yeah, these got this beautiful piece of the library, and I got your certificate, teacher, and we'll get your picture, okay? But I thought you should hold up your artwork too for everybody. Put that up, they can see it, and then put your camera take it. Oh, right over here. He's got lots of things to hold. He's got his hands full.
Don't miss that smile.
Perfect. All right, Adrian Policarpio is also being recognized, and you want to tell everybody about your picture?
It's the park.
The playground, yeah, the park in the back of the school. So we've got lots of nice playground spaces at our new school too. And is this the one behind the library?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Adrian. So you'll have a certificate too for your artistic achievement. And perfect. Thank you.
Oh, wait, I'm still taking a picture.
Yeah, let Mom get one.
Thank you. One more, Abigail Stinnett. And do you need to tell them? Okay, I'll do it. This is Mr. Yates. Her favorite thing about the school is her teacher. So, and I can assure you that he is so proud of this picture. He is January. So, it's right now. So it's been up everywhere this month. He's gotten to tell everybody that he is January. So, Mr. Yates, and he is a fantastic new teacher at our school that just joined us this year. And I think they're lucky to have each other.
Come on, look up.
Abigail, try to smile. Thank you. Thank you. Alright, and then Amy Moe is being recognized as our volunteer. And the more I learn about Amy Moe, I mean, I've known for a long time that she's humble and giving and gracious, but I keep learning. So she is on our positive behavior interventions and supports team, and so she has been helping us with putting in place structures for our kids to be successful since we created that team. And she brings great insight and questions and perspective to that work. And every time we leave, everybody's like, gosh, she's amazing. And the people that are new to the team are like, I didn't know she was a parent. I thought she worked here. And so they really are very, very happy of her for pleased with her perspective. But then she also has done a lot of work with Backpack for Kids and making sure that kids have what they need, and then was just named as the chair of the Family Resource Board for elementary. So she just keeps giving, and we are very lucky to have her.
Amen.
And her kids, not just at Hogsett, but Bate and the high school. So you've got kids everywhere. So. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Smile.
There's one more for Hogsett.
Oh, get that, hurry. I'm on one of the pictures.
So we have something that we don't usually do with our recognitions, but I talked to Dr. McDonald about it, and we wanted to recognize 2 teachers at our school that actually helped us to set a trend of more positive behavior recognition. So we started something at our school in late November called Blue Slips, and it's a positive office referral. So students can get a positive office referral from the classroom teachers, and they come down to the office, and we make a big stink over them, and they get like a bracelet and a sticker that says I'm a leader, and they get to take their Blue Slips home. And when we were looking at the data, Daniel Cooch and Lizzie Swest, they're a great team, and they work together in kindergarten, and they had way more Blue Slips than anybody else. And all the other teachers were like, when we showed the data, we did it anonymously, and Daniel was a little bit like, am I doing this wrong? Like, am I giving too many Blue Slips? And we're like, no, not at all. And then when the teachers heard what she was doing and how much of a difference it was making with their students, now everyone is giving a lot more Blue Slips. So she was able to really set a trend with our positive behavior. So they're getting recognized for positive behavior support. And Lindsay is a first-year teacher, or not Lindsay, Danielle's a first-year teacher. Lindsay is a first-year full-time with us, too. So we're really happy to have new people to set those trends. Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Okay, you don't move. In fact, I'd like for the board to come up. You know, we have a lot of contributors to our school system, and I'm trying to remember in all the years I've been involved in this, had we ever had a superintendent that has given a gift to the school district? And I don't remember one. Patsy, do you remember one?
What kind of gift?
Just anything.
Anything?
Yeah.
A lot of time.
Time.
That's right, that's true.
But Dr. McDonald is also an artist, and this is her watercolor of our new building. And she kept it in the same style as Jack May. And if you notice the other ones that are on display in the foyer, this will look much like what he did. And I just wanted Dr. McDonald to get this recognition. I was so impressed with it. My wife, who's with the Arts Commission, is ready to do an article on this lady and what she's done, so be prepared for that call. But I want everybody really to take a look at it before they leave, and thank you so much. Any words of wisdom?
Well, no words of wisdom probably, but I do want to say that Danville Schools has done so much for me. I've been here a year and a half, and
I cannot say enough about how the community and the teachers and the employees here at the center and the board and just the support that I've received, not only just within the job, but just as a new citizen in Danville. So I want to say thank you, and this is my gift back to the district. So.
Also, thank you to Hogsett for making the banner for us. Thank you.
So we're going to continue on with recognitions. We have several this evening, and so as you can see, we have a banner. This is School Board Appreciation Month, and we want to say thank you to the students at Hogsett for creating this thank you banner for our board. They do so much for our students, just in their time alone in recognition. And we also, as a district, have a gift for each of our school board members. And so I'm going to pass those out and ask one of them to please open the gift for us. And we'll see who can open it the fastest. See who's the best
Who's the fastest?
unwrapping, and who can actually, would love to show
Behind Troy's got
everyone in the audience your gift, please.
Right. Oh, that's pretty.
So it's this beautiful wooden box. It has an anchor on the front, and inside is a compass. And so our board not only guides us in finance and policy, but really in everything that our district does. You know, it starts here in this room with our board members, and so we want to say thank you. You're our guide, and you now have a compass back to remind you of how important the decisions and everything you do to guide us through each year. So thank you.
Thank you all. Thank
Pretty
you.
box.
That's right.
Very nice, thank you.
Thanks.
So our next recognition, I would like to call up a few of our employees that work behind the scenes every day tirelessly in all of our buildings, across all of our grounds. And so I want to call up our maintenance and facilities crew. And so I'm going to call you up one at a time, and if you don't mind standing across the front. So first, Keith Bussell. Edwards. Corey. Danny Gadberry. Kenny Grubbs. And also I want to call up Clint Followell, because Clint works tirelessly along with those guys, usually, inside the buildings, but we just couldn't make it without these 5 individuals. So I want to say thank you, appreciation from the board and all of the employees in Danville Schools. So I've got a little something extra that's going to go along with this recognition, but I'm going to ask the 5 of y'all to sit back down. You notice I didn't want you slipping out the door. We have a second piece to this little recognition that we want to do. So I would like to ask Christy Denny to step up here with us, and I also would like to ask Miss Lisa Fisher. So I'm going to turn this recognition over to the 2 of them at this point.
Thank you. We just kind of wanted to hone in on a couple of things that the maintenance crew, most of the time you think they work within the buildings, they make sure that the high school library is not too hot or too cold. That's not even listening to me. You listen. Still a little touchy, right? So they also go above and beyond in ways that you might not realize. You know, we are just putting the finishing touches almost on our softball field, this new softball field. And when we first started this project, we talked about how we would do our best to save the district as much money as possible because we have these guys. But in particular, we have, brand buildings and grounds guy as well with, our grounds guy with Danny. But some of the things they've done that you might not realize is they're the ones who put the foul poles up, which was not easy, right? They were also the ones who put the scoreboard up. They're the ones who were knee-deep in mud in a ditch, 3-4 feet deep, about 2 weeks ago in the rain, trying to fix a water line or something, trap thing. What was it?
Backflow.
Backflow preventer thing. You just have no idea. And even though they've all helped, I know you all know what's coming is that this man, who is the king of all groundskeeping in the state, possibly nation world, people come to admire his grounds and learn from him, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Things that he's done above and beyond. When you do get an opportunity to see the softball field, you'll be able to see that, you know, he obviously did the seeding in the outfield and the fertilizing, and he picked up 10,000 rocks every day from the infield, and then he put, you know, marmix down and brick dust, made a brick dust track to the girls' home dugout. Then he envisioned, here's a nice area for practice pitching. So he's got brick dust there, he'll have the net up, and so another little area for that. And then he said, I want to build them. I was thinking, you know, I needed to buy benches for the dugout. He wanted to build them. He said, I want to build, I saw this in another district. You should see what he built. He saw girls that had benches that you could actually perch up and sit on, and your feet are really on the seat part, but the back part's a seat too. And it opens up for storage. It's amazing. We didn't get visitors in the storage, but the homegirls had storage. And I actually made the comment, you know, Keith Bussel's kind of our carpenter guy, and I'm like, you want Keith to make those? He said, no, I got it. They're amazing. So you've been hiding behind that skill. But he's also basically kept the whole construction crew in line and did things, fixed things they didn't get quite right. We would be in a progress meeting, and the architect would be on a punch list, and he'd name something. Danny said, I already fixed that. I fixed that. I did that. And he did. He's just great. So with that said,
before you finish, I will say agree with all that Christy has said, but I've had the opportunity to work with these guys a lot of years. I've worked with Danny 20 plus years. And to say that we are close and our relationship is beyond. It's been much more than that. He is an admiral. He stands for all that we want our athletes to stand for. He's the root of all of our success as admirals. No pun intended, but he's definitely the root of our success. And with that, I wanted to make sure that everybody knew exactly what he had done with this project, but not just that, what he's done through the years for Danville Athletics, he and his family. And I know that you guys can attest to that too, because you've been right there alongside him, helping him as well. But Danny, thank you for everything. I mean, thank you for the loyalty, for your dedication, for your hard work, for always being that admiral.
And to remind people of what he's done over the years, 1971, Danville High School graduate, right? Danny Gabriel, this is your life. 1991, he began working for Danville Schools. 2002, he received the KSD Distinguished Service Award for his work on their fields. 2007, Danville Schools dubbed him the Ultimate Groundskeeper. Gave him the Ultimate Groundskeeper Award. 2009, he received the Alan Burns Memorial First Mate Award for his work. 2015, he was inducted into the Danville Athletic Hall of Fame. In 2020, he received the honor of having the softball field named Danny Gadbury Softball Field.
So needless to say, I'm going to give this to Danny because nobody else could put it up quite like Danny can. So I even brought the screws that were sent to go in the masonry. I was thinking we'd put it behind the backstop facing the
We'll put it
bleachers.
where he wants it.
But, so, I'm gonna give it to you so that you can have it. But that's where we would like it placed. Here's really the screws. Only you can do it the right way.
Speech.
Thank you. I have one question. Were you surprised?
You want a family picture? Shelby, do you want a family picture?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, let's get Shelby.
Were you surprised?
I was.
That's a hard secret to keep.
It's a hard secret.
No.
Never mind. There he is.
Good job.
They really didn't tell you.
Was it really a surprise?
Almost slipped,
I'm the Clevenger family representative because of brush head practice. I was supposed to come and give you a hug for Clegg.
And you did great.
Very much so.
Danny, do you have any words for us?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, we were as excited about it as all those that knew. I think there were 400 or 500 people that knew. They kept it a great secret from you, obviously, but so looking forward to coaches, all the coaches come up. Yeah. But on behalf of the board, we are excited to have this complex named after you, and of course all the work you've done through the years has not been unnoticed. How about that? So congratulations, and look forward to watching you put up your own sign.
You'll do it right. He is okay.
All right, now we're going to get into the real fun part of the meeting, and we're going to on item 4D, which is personnel notifications. Has the board had a chance to look at all that? If you don't have any questions, of course,
No.
get with Dr. McDonald on that. And the next we will have the softball
Yeah,
update.
and that was actually what we
Yeah.
just did. We did, so.
Okay, so we're through the softball update. Okay, item 4F, which is the December child count.
Mrs. Ray.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mrs. Ray.
Sharing more wonderful things that are going on. I tell you, this has been such a fantastic meeting. It's great to be an admiral.
It is
great to be an admiral.
Thank you.
Every year on December 1, we capture data that represents the number of students with IEPs in the district. I wish it were as easy as hitting a button on December 1, but there's a lot of work that goes into it, and we usually start 1st of October. And you have an attachment that has this year's child count review. We were up 6 students, and that's typical. We fluctuate year to year. It would probably be different if I ran the report today. It's just who's present on December 1. And as you know, the low, moderate, and high areas that I've highlighted in the center there, that is indicative of our funding. Those are weighted to kind of equalize funding because students with more severe disabilities require more services, and it costs us a little bit more to provide those services. So, if you guys have any questions?
So we do this every year, and then this, like you said, it helps us get funding.
Right, that's what our seek add-on is based on.
Okay.
These
So
numbers.
I guess we're never where we need to be on funding.
Special ed has never been fully funded, ever.
Right.
Mm.
Right.
Ever, not even halfway there.
Well, I appreciate all the information, and thank you so
Absolutely.
much
Thank you.
for this. Do we need to? I don't think we need
It's just
to.
No, it's just
Information.
for our information.
Yeah.
And the next, we're going to have the nutrition report card. Well, hello, Mrs. Taylor.
Hello.
How are you?
I am fantastic.
Good. Glad you're here.
Do you have the PowerPoint?
Do you want to go through this?
No, I'm just not. Well, not necessarily. They have, yeah, you have that there. I'm just here because we're required to have a nutritional and physical activity wellness report every January. This year, we had very little changes. No, not really. Let me back up a little bit. We did have some significant changes in that part of our district wellness plan requires that each individual school have their own wellness policy. Last year, it was in process, but we had a lot of site-based councils had not been formed because they were new and the redistricting. So this year, I'm happy to report that we are 75% there with our wellness policies. We have both elementary schools and Bate have theirs completed, and the high school is working on theirs right now. So probably by March, we'll have all of them, and they'll be on file on the website.
Okay, great.
And the rest of this is just simply reporting how many meals were served. And this is all the previous year, so this is based on school year 18-19. And I projected, well, there will be more money. I was looking back, and I know this year we had we've got $105,000 worth of commodities that have been assigned to come to us, and last year, I think it was, the preceding year, it was $73,960. So depending upon the meals served, that's how you get your reimbursement money back. So our numbers are up, and we keep receiving more funds.
Well, at least the numbers are up and we are getting more funds.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
That works out great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, good to see you.
You too.
Okay, so we are going to go to reports.
No, it's got meetings.
Need to approve the minutes of the previous meetings. Do we have a motion, please?
I make a motion for the approval of the December 9th and December 16th of 2019 meeting minutes as submitted.
Second.
Okay, any comments or concerns? Okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now we are at reports, and Mr. Ballard?
This is our calendar.
Oh, Mr. Becker.
Yeah, don't forget us.
Okay, I hope everybody's had a chance to take a look at the proposed board meeting dates and places. The only thing that is going to be a little different is the fact that in February, we're actually going to have the meeting on the main school board meeting on the 18th instead of the 17th. So we don't have to conflict with President's Day. We are going to have a retreat in July, the 14th, from 9 until 3. And I think it got worked out. We're going to do it here at Central Office. Okay. All right. And then there was also a proposed retreat in January of 21, so that we can do a mid-year looking back and looking forward type of thing. And I believe that's going to be here at Central Office also.
Okay.
So, and then the school assignments, I think we went over last week. I'm going to be at Hogsett, and Troy, you are at the high school, is that correct?
Yes.
And then Lori is at Bate, and then Mr. Ball and Mr. Smiley are both will be at Tolliver. So this will give us all a chance to hopefully attend some site-based council meetings and check in with the principals and that kind of thing, and just have our presence there and just see what's going on with the schools.
It works out fine because I've been at the Danville's site-based meetings. It's very informative.
Okay. So I need a motion, please.
Make a motion of the approval of the 2020 school board meeting calendar as submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all. Okay. 5B is the CDAP.
I do have one thing.
Yeah, if you don't. Okay.
That's on there for your all's approval tonight because we looked at it at the work session 2 weeks ago. One note since then, Mr. Elmore has gotten feedback on his CSIP, and I have gotten feedback on the CDIP, and we do have some edits to make, but want us to go ahead and approve it. And I don't think we have to reapprove it, is my understanding, but we're getting clarification on that. But we are both currently working on those edits at this time. And they're minor.
You kind of warned us this was going to
Yeah.
happen.
Well, there are only 11 ATSI schools in the state, so they really combed through those 11 plans versus how many there were last year.
Okay, and then you'll inform us on the updates?
Yes.
Okay, that'll work. Anybody have any other questions or discussion? Okay, we need a motion, please.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the CDEP plan as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you.
We don't have another one of these calendars.
Okay, next on the agenda is actually the school calendar for 2021. Mr. Ballard, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, glad you're here.
So last 2 weeks ago, you were given the two calendars. One basically was moving student days from 171 to 173 or 175 days.
All right. Okay. Do we have a motion?
Well, I guess
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the 173-day calendar as submitted.
Second.
Okay. Do we have let's have some discussion?
I mean,
Mr. Smiley, any discussion?
Well, I was just saying,
It's-
we kind of echo like last week, or a couple weeks ago, whenever we talked about this, that, you know, I like the idea, or I think the idea of adding more instructional days for our children is good. You know, it follows our goals set forward in our strategic plan, and I think maybe eventually we would go to 175, but let's start off here and, you know, for next year.
Work through this, yes.
Do 173 and reevaluate when it comes this time next year.
Agree.
And I was going to ask Mr. Ballard, was that the sentiment of the calendar committee?
It was 173. Let's see how see how it does. It will be hard to evaluate that since we'll actually be in the middle of that year.
It's going to be hard.
Right. Okay. Anybody else have any discussions? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the calendar for 173 days. Anyways, okay. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Mr. Ballard, thank the committee for all the work.
I will.
Good stuff. Thank you. Okay. Now we have the finance report. Ms. Osborne.
Okay, you should have an attachment up there. I don't know if any of you have looked at it or not. I did a little bit different this time per Mr. Smiley's request. You'll see a 2018 comparison. Those aren't as dark and bold as the 2019, which is what I'm bringing to you to approve. You'll see the Munis trial balance is $8,298,013.66. Then we break it down by fund in the second section, and then down at the bottom's where we balance with the bank, and you'll see all three amounts match. On the second page, you will see our payrolls and our AP claims. That shows all the expenditures. The third and fourth page are our receipts, everything we brought in for the month of December. And the last page is our bank statement. So do you have any questions?
Just have an editorial comment. When you look at the comparison, obviously we're doing a lot better in terms of paying for what we need at a lower rate. And we need to do that. And good job.
Okay, do you have anything you want to add to the report?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, unless you've got any questions.
Does anybody have any questions for Mrs. Osborne?
No.
Okay. I need a motion, please, on the finance report.
I make a motion that we approve the December 19th financial report is submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, Mrs. Osborne, you're up again.
Okay, on the vendor bills for this month, everything was pretty basic, like normal stuff. Couple things I wanted to point out to you on page 8. You'll see a bill for $2,431.05 to Diesel Tech. That was a blown injector on our school bus, one of our school buses, bus 211. On page 12, you'll
Hold just a second.
Yeah.
I didn't get to page 8 yet.
page 8. Sorry.
I got this old computer here,
That's okay.
but it gets me there. And what item number was that, please?
It's a bill for Diesel Tech.
2431?
Yeah, 2,400. Yeah, we had a bus, the injector blew on it. We had to get that fixed.
Thank you.
That's something unusual. On page 12, you're going to see 2 amounts for Huntington National Bank. That's our KISTA payments for school buses. Let's see what else I found. On page 21, you're going to see a bill to Riddle, I guess it's called. That's our Danville High School helmet reconditioning that we pay for the football team.
What item number is that?
It's $2,226.15.
Yeah, I see it.
That's middle school and high school.
Middle school and high school.
And then on page 25, you'll see a bill for $15,000. That's to Stiles, Carter and Associates. That was for our annual audit. Next month, we'll probably be bringing to you a recommendation for new auditors.
Okay. Now, we've had them for 5 years. Is it even more?
Was it 5?
Okay.
Yeah.
I had in my head 6.
Well, I can shake it in my head, but the state recommends that you do not go over 5 years. So it is time to.
Absolutely.
They changed numbers on that?
Yes, and we have already released an RFP, so we'll
Okay.
take in bids.
Okay.
Okay, excellent. All right, I need a motion, please, on the invoices.
Make a motion for the approval of the payment of invoices totaling $503,227.01 as presented.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. 5F is the draft budget. Mrs. Osborne, are you going to talk to us about that?
Yeah. I'm going to just kind of break down the report. 2 weeks ago, I just kind of touched on it lightly, what was in there. I'm going to remind you on the first page, you're going to start seeing revenues. We got a $2.5 million beginning balance.
And I'm going to interrupt. So Mrs. Osborne is going over one of the attachments in e-meeting. I just handed out a summary page of the PowerPoint from last week. So she's actually going through the document and it's uploaded in e-meeting. So if you don't have that pulled up, you'll want to pull that up.
The draft budget?
Yes, that's what she's talking about.
Which page?
Just page 1. Does everybody see it? Okay. We're starting, and remember, this is just a draft. A lot of this is just information that we know right now, okay? Our beginning balance is $2.5 million. You're going to see our estimated revenues down through there, and then go over to page 3, and you're going to see our total receipts are $21,892,000. That's what we're estimating based on this year that we hope to bring in next year. Okay, and then if you go to page 4, this is what starts our expenditures. You'll see the different functions. Function 1000, do you see it? It's for instruction. That's your teachers, your aides, anything to do with instruction. Okay, section 2100. That's your student support services. That's your guidance counselors, your nurses, your attendance. Okay. 2,200, you'll see instructional staff. That's your librarian, your media specialist, anything to do with assessment or some staff developments in there. 2,300, that's you guys. That's the board, that's central office, anything legal, our tax office, that's all in that group. 2,400, that's the office of the principals, the SBDM, that's more the school level. 2,500, that's the business side of us. That's the finances, accounts payable, payroll, personnel, some technology, that sort of stuff. 2,600, that's your buildings, grounds, maintenance, safety and security's in there. 2,700, that's your transportation. Anything to do with transportation's in that. 3,100's food service. That is also your Admiral Academy. It's in that group. 3,300 is your Frisky, your Beacon. And then when you add up all those, it comes down to total expenditures, 2,577, 536.54.
Where are the SROs under?
The SROs are under that safety and security.
Okay.
Good. Okay. And then some of the middle of the report is like Fund 2. We don't know what Fund 2 is going to be yet. But I do want you to look at the very back. The very back gives you a breakdown of the revenues and expenditures by fund. It's on page 36, and you'll see that we are balanced. Everything comes out zero. Okay. If you got any questions?
So, and a quick piece that I'll add is, as a reminder, this is our draft budget. And so you're looking at like chunks of money because it's what we know as of this time. And so in March, we will bring you salary scales. And so we'll have more details at that point. So if we have, this particular amount for salaries and payroll in March, we may see that it needs to shift, and it may be a couple of thousand, or it may be, it needs to shift 10,000 this way or that way. Once we start having an idea more of if somebody's going to retire, or if the principals and site-based councils have made some decisions on staffing and things start to shift, and then in May we come back with the tentative budget and there would be slight shifts. This is a very strong draft, and we feel very strongly that this is close. But as a reminder, it is still a draft, and it's large buckets of funding. The handout that I passed out is just 3 slides from the PowerPoint presentation from the work session, and it's the summary slides. So the very first slide, you can see to where we have pulled up the revenue for the fiscal year 19, and then what this draft totals, and you can see that we were presenting to you a balanced draft budget. That we actually are presenting a budget that's around 70,000 less than the revenue we took in fiscal year 19, and then our estimated revenue for this fiscal year 20, what that estimated revenue is, and then with the draft budget that we are under about 77,000. So when you're talking about a budget the size of ours, that being under about 70,000 is really a balanced budget, because we're going to see some shifts of about that much in May as we get into salary scales and as schools and site-based plan across the spring. But that's just the summary page I wanted to put back in front of you as well, and then also the 2 summary pages of some of the big items that you see in there, kind of broke down a little bit easier than just the large buckets that you see in the Munis report. And then the areas that you see where we've reduced to have savings in order to balance our budget there. So, any questions?
And remember, going in for this school year, we were 400,000 over. This one's balanced. We're not spending any more than what we're expected to take in.
So, we'll take questions at this time, both Mrs. Osborne and myself.
Good job. Balanced budget, very clear. Money left over if we have anything change. Excellent.
Well, and one thing I try to explain to folks that this is a living document. It is not the document. So it allows districts opportunities to be able to, like Dr. McDonald said, there are buckets of monies. We don't have all that yet. We don't have a lot of information, and we don't even know if we're going to get any more money out of the state. We're going to get less money from the state. And so unfortunately, it's a really long waiting game to see what the legislature's going to do. And if there's going to be unfunded mandates, there's always unfunded mandates. So all those things, you don't have the information. And then the law doesn't happen generally until July. So there comes another possible adjustment even with what was presented in May. So we just have to be patient on all this. And it's challenging at times. I get asked almost daily, you know, how do you know you're going to have these savings? Well, and I always say, well, I have really great confidence in our superintendent and our finance officer and all the directors that are involved and principals that are involved in making up this budget and the board. So it's a wait and see. We may not hit that magic number this year, but I know by next year we're going to hit the magic number, whatever it's going to take. We also have a board, responsibility as a board, the future of this school district. So when I hear people complain that we're trying to cut $1 million out of our budget, that doesn't mean we're in financial straits. It means we're responsible for what we're doing and what we owe to our students and our teachers and our stakeholders and our taxpayers. So I have to praise our superintendent. It's been rough. I mean, it really has been rough. Not only on us, but on staff and so forth to think, you know, are we going to be around in 5 years or whatever it might be? Well, of course we're going to be around in 5 years because what we're doing today is going to ensure the future of this district. So we all got to hang tough on this, and I appreciate everybody, their willingness to at least listen. And we're going to have to do a whole lot more listening and not questioning. You can question, but when you get the answer, you need to listen to the answer. And I, as a board member, need to listen to the questions. And I can do better on that. So anyways, I do appreciate what you guys have done, and we're still working on it.
Yep.
Well, and I feel like I can't take all the credit. We've met with every principal, every director. We did not do it by ourselves. I could not have done it without everybody.
And all of our district-wide employees, like Sam Dewey and Lisa Fisher, and so there's been a lot of individuals involved in building this budget from the ground up.
It's been very inclusive.
I appreciate the amount of information that we have. You know, I'm a numbers person, so it's always been, you know, I like to see things. So when we're adding things or spending money on things, I like to, now I have all of this and I can say, okay, well, comparatively, like we can do this. And in a way, ways in the past, it was through the merger and the changing of schools, it's been difficult to have this level of information. So now we have it and can move forward from here, and things aren't going to change buildings, and so we can set this path. But I really appreciate, I mean, some people have criticized, oh, we're going to cut this much. Well, we're starting here. You can always add back on, and the better start we get, we can move forward. The more we can do at the beginning, and no, we never want to take anything away from our children. And what, you know, I want them to have, you know, the same things that they're having. I don't want things, and there's been cuts or proposed things across the board. It's not just, you know, in the schools, there's been proposed cuts to administrative. There's all levels. So I thank everybody for going there, and we can add things back in, but let's start fiscally sound at the beginning.
That's right.
So I appreciate all the level of information, and some people have said, well, you have to make that public, and you know, it's made some uncomfortable conversations, but people have to realize this is the only time board members can talk to each other. We don't have secret behind the scenes meetings or anything like that. This is when it has to be public, and it's for everybody to see, and sometimes it's uncomfortable. But this is the only time we're legally allowed to talk about these things. So putting all the numbers is important, I mean, and having all that information, so thank you.
Anybody else?
No.
And we don't have to approve this, it just, we had to be presented.
I was gonna leave it to you all, if you want to approve it.
It's not
Yeah.
necessary, it's
It
not
doesn't go
typical
to
that.
KDE.
Yeah, yeah.
As far as information.
I mean, I think the approval's there by not
Acknowledging.
requesting big things going on, so, so anyways. All right, so that's our draft budget at this point, and we need to approve the consent agenda, thank you.
I make a motion to approval of all consent items as presented, including the things that were added at the beginning of the meeting.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, thank you. And do we have someone to speak today? Okay. All right. Okay, we're, now I need a motion to go into executive session.
I make a motion to the approval to enter executive session in accordance with KRS 610-8101K and KRS 156.5576C for the preliminary discussion regarding the superintendent's annual evaluation, and KRS 618101B to discuss the potential sale of real properties because publicity would likely affect the value of the property.
Are you out of breath?
You did good.
Second motion.
Okay, and we have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.